So, why I chose my topic. If you don't know me, I'm into musicals, like a little bit. So, I've been in every play production or musical that Prez has had since freshman year, and another thing about music, I've played piano all of my life, so it's something that I have to do in the future. It's something I'm going to do in the future. Music is my life. So what better way to just combine those two things and make a play about it? Another thing that I'm really passionate about is social justice issues, so that also plays an immense role in this show. So this show in its entirety, I know I just explained like so many things, it's about the history and the evolution of music theater, but also how it's impacted us as a society. It's based around 4 topics. It's separated into music theater history to give you a background on all the shows that you're going to be hearing about and hearing music from. It's going to give you some history on the world, U.S. history, European history, then jumping into LGBTQ plus history and how music theater and Broadway were kind of the first to welcome that group. And then lastly is a portion on race and gender inequalities that have been portrayed through musical theater and how they progress, some bad examples, some really good examples, and yes. So, my first proposal is nothing like it is right now. I did not expect to write an entire play. I am not a writer by any means. Wow. But I became one. So this is a narrative. I was at first going to do a concert-style play. It was going to be some facts given by one person, and then a song would be performed by someone. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I would get really bored if I was sitting there watching that. So I wrote an entire narrative around it. My narrative is a vignette-style play, which is something you learn about actually in my show, and it has 2 main characters. They go back and forth and back and forth. And one of them is sitting right here. It's Delaney Davis. She's the main character. And it's basically how to learn an appreciation and an understanding for music theater in a way that you have never viewed it before. So I'm going to read the overview of my show and the 2 characters that will be presented. So we have the 2 characters. We have Dr. Katie Sims. She's a woman in her mid-40s who has worked her way up on the PBS Arts and Cultural program. She's way too smart. She hosts a new segment every morning from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. She's very proud of her fan club of 12 people, and she graduated with a doctorate degree in musical theater history and is a bona fide theater snob. She loves to be addressed as doctor because it reminds her of all her hard work. She doesn't understand people who don't realize the true value of theater. Our next character is Alice Sims. She's a young woman. She's 17. She just graduated from high school. She's captain of all her sports teams. I'm sorry, I made this one a real stereotype. She's just moved into her aunt's house, who is Katie Sims, for the summer to enroll in college. They butt heads a lot when it comes to what they like and what topics they like to talk about. And while Sims is engaged in theater and wants Alice to match that, Alice thinks there's literally anything else more interesting to talk about. So the basic overview of the show and what is to be expected is the story opens in the summer of 2016, and young Alice has just graduated from high school and has gotten a full scholarship for basketball to Notre Dame University. Since she previously lived in Oregon, her mother has offered up the idea that Alice moves in with her aunt for the summer to become more familiar with the area. Since her aunt lives within 5 minutes of Alice's dorm, this is very convenient. Alice accepts the offer and makes plans to move in with her aunt, Dr. Katie Sims. She's an expert in music theater and its history. After working at a local studio tied to PBS for more than 20 years, she finally lands a host spot for a segment all about music theater. She shows a certain production significance and history through songs from that show and hopes to grab the audience's attention. Even though it is aired between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., she's still ecstatic to be on there every morning. Her happiness is also accompanied by the fact that her niece is coming to stay with her for the duration of the summer. Her happiness, along with Alice's initial excitement, however, is interrupted by the fact that they do not get along. This makes a major wall in their relationship. Alice is never engaged in what her aunt wants to talk about, and she's really bored with the very idea of this whole show and theater. And on top of that, the show rates on her segment are dropping significantly. She devises a plan, Sims does, to trick Alice into being her surprise guest on the show. Through this, Sims hopes to mend her relationship with her niece and to show our audience that an appreciation for musical theater can be found within anyone who opens their mind. The basic idea is to show people some stuff that they've probably never learned before. If you're into musical theater like I am, I even learned some new stuff. So I try to make it more comical to get away from like the whole boring facty part, and you'll leave being like, ooh, I didn't know that, and that was funny too. So my mentors, just a little bit about them. Miss Ashley Beck-Heimbrock, she graduated from Prez in 2006, and she was actually one of my directors for a show I was in at Prez, which is Macbeth. And I knew quickly whenever I was in that show, I was like, man, I want to be in a theater like this all the time. It's so organized and it's so well run. So whenever she agreed to be my mentor, I was just jumping up and down. I was ecstatic. She's great. She helps me so much with directing, with sets, how to manage stuff, how to organize everything, and it's just great. Another one is Peyton Wright. She graduated from Prez in 2018, and she participated in SIP her senior year, and it was also an original play written that I was in, and it was part of my inspiration for wanting to do this whole thing all over again. So then another one is Elizabeth McClure. She graduated from Prez in 2018 as well, and she was in all the shows with me, and she really helped me on the delivery of what I was saying, how I wanted it to come across, and how the actors, how they played that out, how they matched what my vision was perfectly, and it helps a lot. Miss Meg Gray, she was my junior English teacher, and she was the one who helped formulate the concept and helped really edit my script to make sure it made sense. And Miss Catherine Smith, who is my chorus teacher, and she really helped me with the song selection and the organization of it all, where to get the music, because I had to buy a lot of music. I'm accompanying the show. And so yes. First semester. So most of my first semester was spent actually writing the script. Here it is. Here's the script. So yes, most of it was spent actually writing the script, and that took 5 months because I didn't know what songs I wanted, which shows were important, which shows weren't as important, and what message I actually wanted to portray in each topic that I was presenting. So yes, that was most of my first semester. So with this came a lot of research about each show, which led me to find out things that I never knew, and it made the process even harder to cut shows and put certain shows in because they were just all so important. And so yes, I learned a lot, and I found it as a great opportunity to show everyone what I learned so they could learn something too. Second semester is when I finalized everything. I had the entire cast picked out, I had the entire crew picked out, I had my concept, and all that was left was to put it together. So the cast had been made, the songs were chosen, and we could start rehearsing. And we started with music workshops because that's usually the hardest thing to learn is music, and me not being a music teacher and never have teaching that before was a major struggle. So I knew we needed to put in some extra time to learn those songs. But after that, we could finally start the rehearsal process. We could get lights going, and we could actually have the actors get up out on stage and read my script, which was so cool to hear the first time. It was so cool. So yes, all of this is just continuing because my show is May 10th. It's coming up. Tech Week is next week. And yes, and I'm just so excited. Everything's finally coming to place, and my vision is right in front of my eyes. But with this came a ton of challenges. I'm not the most organized person, so working with others and getting everything on paper, in front of me, was a big challenge for me. Another thing was rehearsals and scheduling. I only usually was used to working with my conflicts, and now I had to work with everybody else's conflicts. So I had to really manage my time, when I could come in, how much time I could spend, how much time they could spend that wouldn't be strenuous on them, but wouldn't be too little practice where they couldn't get anything out of it. So that was a lot. However, through this, I learned to manage my time. I learned how to work well with others, and because I'm going to be a musical theater major in college, it really prepared me for the professional world of theater and for the college world of theater, because not everything runs like high school theater. It's not like, I'll be doing this all day next year. So it was a real big jump start that not many people my age get to say that they've had the experience doing. And so, like I said, my show is May 10th. It's at 7:30 p.m. It's right here. It's on my poster that fell on the ground. So, yes, it's on my poster. You can call and get tickets at Prez. They're $5. And over there as well is my playbill, which took a lot of, I was going to say sweat and tears, but it's tears and tears, to format and print. But we finally got it. You can meet the cast. You can read a little bit about them. And yes, thank you so much. I am so excited, and I hope I can see some of you all there.